Please join us every week for a new episode of Understanding the Human Condition with Dr. James Flowers. Dr. Flowers and his most admired mentors, respected colleagues, and VIP guests will share valuable insight into underlying health causes, conditions, and issues. These in-depth yet approachable episodes are a great resource for both private individuals and industry professionals. Our esteemed host, Dr. James Flowers, is one of the most recognized and respected names in the field of chronic pain, mental health, and substance use disorders, both nationally and internationally. Dr. Flowers is the founder of J. Flowers Health Institute, located in Houston, Texas. For more information about J. Flowers Health Institute and its concierge services, go to jflowershealth.com or dial 713-783-6655. And be sure to mention this podcast.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Understanding the Human Condition. My name is Dr. Melanie Somerville, and this week I'm filling in for Dr. James Flowers and Robin French on the podcast. And we're going to do something a little bit different this week. Something I'm really passionate about is mindfulness and meditation. I've been a practitioner off and on for about 15 years. And so today I'm going to talk a little bit about mindfulness and the definition of mindfulness, how it's beneficial to us, and I think I'll lead us on a body scan or a mindful exercise. So mindfulness is a pretty big buzzword these days. A lot of people are talking about it. We even see it showing up in some of our behavioral psychologies, such as dialectical and behavioral therapy and acceptance and commitment therapy, where mindfulness is a component of helping us change our behavior to be more effective human beings and get along better with ourselves and with others. And one of the kind of early proponents or champions of mindfulness is Dr. Jon Kabat-Zinn out of the University of Massachusetts. And I'm going to use his definition of mindfulness. Mindfulness is paying attention on purpose to the present moment without judgment in the service of self-wisdom. So just to break that down a little bit, as human beings, we have a lot of things to do, a lot of things to accomplish every day. Our lives are pretty busy, and it's easy to get caught up in what I often call autopilot. We drive to work and we get there by getting there. We don't maybe pay attention to the scenery or other things around us. We're worried about what's going on in our day. We may kind of ruminate over things that happened in the past. Mindfulness is a way to take us out of autopilot and bring us into the present moment. Eckhart Tolle is another well-known name in the mindfulness community. His book is called The Power of Now. And many other practitioners that kind of teach us how to benefit from being in the present moment. And if you think about it, life happens in the present moment. It doesn't happen in the past. What has happened in the past cannot be regained or recaptured. And we don't know what's going to happen in the future, even though we know. You know, I may go home and say, if I do this, my partner's going to do that. I know that, but do I really know that? And so when we can stay in that space between what has already happened and what has yet to happen, that's the present moment, and that's mindfulness. And mindfulness gives us the opportunity to become aware, to be aware of ourselves, to be aware of our thoughts, our emotions, our bodily sensations, and it can give us so much information to help us behave in more effective ways. And I like to think of it as like holding space for ourselves. And that definition of in the service of self-wisdom, you can learn a lot about yourself by slowing down and by observing what your mind does when you sit in maybe mindful meditation, right? But you don't have to do meditation to practice mindfulness. you can practice mindfulness in so many ways. You can practice mindfulness by walking from your house outside to get your newspaper. And when you're outside, instead of thinking about what you're going to have for breakfast, pay attention to your feet as they walk on the ground. Pay attention to what ambient sounds may be in the environment as you go outside to pick up your newspaper. Those are ways to bring your mind to the present moment. And the more you do that, the more you will find some space for yourself, and the more you will recognize what kinds of thoughts you maybe automatically go to you. Some of us maybe automatically go to things that happened in the past and thinking, oh, I wish I had done such and such. Or how many times have you left a conversation or maybe an argument and said, oh, why didn't I say X, Y, Z? And then we kind of beat ourselves up over that. Others of us live in the future. I have to make sure this happens. I have to make sure I present myself this way so this person will think something about me. And I'm worried about what I'm going to say on the podcast tomorrow. And so projecting ourselves in the future, and that takes us out of the wisdom of the present moment. Mindfulness has quite a bit of science behind it. Dr. John Kabat-Zinn developed the mindfulness-based stress reduction program, and they've done quite a bit of research on how his 8-week program helps people regulate their high blood pressure. It helps them overcome symptoms of diabetes and psoriasis. Mindfulness and meditation also helps lower cortisol levels. And cortisol is a hormone produced by the brain when we're under stress. And so if we are on autopilot, and if we are constantly either worried about the future or ruminating about the past, it's possible that our cortisol levels could be chronically high. And when they're chronically high, our bodies are much more vulnerable to disease. High blood pressure, heart disease, higher body fat count, and mindfulness, again, is a way to physically lower some of those high cortisol levels that we see in chronically stressed or even traumatized people. So I think I'd like to start a mindfulness exercise right now. And what we'll do is, if you're listening to this podcast, you can follow along. I'm going to do a body scan. If you're driving, maybe you might not want to close your eyes. If you're somewhere where you can take a minute and put your feet on the ground and relax your body a little bit, you can close your eyes if that feels comfortable. You don't have to close your eyes, but when we're learning to be mindful, it's helpful if we withdraw our attention from the outside world. So kind of self-contain your being to your own personal experience. And mindfulness is being able to pay attention to one thing on purpose. And usually it's the breath. Sometimes it can be a mantra. It could be an object that you're gazing upon. It could be a prayer or a phrase. In this case, we're gonna focus on the breath. And as you're practicing mindfulness and noticing your body as we go through this body scan, you may notice that your mind is wandering. You may start to think about your stomach growling, or something that you need to do when you get to wherever you're going, or something that you should have already done. Acknowledge that thought and come back to the sensation of your breath as it enters your body. Sometimes focusing on the tip of your nose as the air enters your nose is a good place to focus upon, because there's a temperature difference between your body temperature and the temperature of the air coming in. So you can usually feel the sort of cool air entering your nose. It's a good place to come back to. Another way to think about our thoughts when we're sitting in mindfulness is you can think about the big puffy white clouds that we often have in our Texas sky, and the wind blows the clouds, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. Today I'm looking out the window and the clouds are not moving. But imagine a windy day in which there are big puffy white clouds, and those clouds represent your thoughts. And so the thought is a cloud, and the wind blows the cloud, and it dissipates and it goes away. So that's sometimes a helpful image for people to focus on when they kind of get hooked into their thoughts. And it's very natural, if you haven't done mindfulness or a body scan, for the mind to wander. And again, part of that mindfulness definition is paying attention on purpose without judgment. So just acknowledge that you're having thoughts, or you kind of went off and were thinking about something else, and suddenly you realize, oh, we're in a mindful meditation. Just do that without any self-recrimination. Come back to the present moment. So get comfortable wherever you are. Close your eyes if you'd like to close your eyes. Take a couple of nice deep breaths in through the nose, all the way down the back of your throat, into your lungs, down into your diaphragm. So you're really doing that diaphragmatic breathing for a couple of breaths. That type of breathing as you inhale into the diaphragm and then exhale, sort of drawing your belly in towards your spine. That kind of breathing sends some oxygen to your brain and stimulates the neurotransmitter called GABA. And GABA sends a message to your brain, hey, chill out for a little bit. So take a couple of nice, deep, diaphragmatic breaths. In through the nose, out through the nose or the mouth. Now just allow your breath to return to normal. Doesn't have to be any certain way. And we'll start with the feet. Focusing your attention on the bottoms of your feet, wherever they may be. Maybe they're resting on the floor. Maybe they're on the pedals in your car. Just noticing, where are your feet? And as you do this body scan, notice sensations that you may have in your body. Sometimes emotions come up, thoughts come up. Anything is acceptable. Acknowledge whatever comes up, and then return to the breath. Moving now up to the ankles, to your calves. Just noticing, gaining awareness about your body. Taking the time to notice your body in ways that you might not ordinarily do. How often do we think about our calves? Staying with the breath, moving up to the big muscles of our legs, to what we're sitting on, feeling the weight of our bodies in whatever we're sitting on. Noticing tension or sensations, emotions, thoughts. Everything's acceptable. The purpose of mindfulness is not to get rid of thoughts or emotions or sensations, or even to relax. The purpose of mindfulness is to become aware, to notice, to hold space for yourself. Moving your attention up the body into your gut. Sometimes a lot of emotions reside in the gut. Ayurvedic medicine tells us that the gut is where our relationships are. Just noticing what's there, noticing tension, relaxation, emotions, thoughts. Always coming back to the sensation of air as it enters your nose. Moving up into your diaphragm, your stomach, into the chest. The chest is often where we feel some other kinds of emotion like tension or anxiety. You may or may not be aware of that. It's a way to be with whatever is present in you right now is okay. Taking our attention now to our throat. Sensations in the throat, things that need to be said often reside here. Moving into the shoulders, noticing tension in the shoulders, allowing the shoulders to drop away from the neck. Staying with the breath, always coming back to the life-giving breath that's with us all the time, no matter what. As long as we're alive, we have this life-giving breath. Following our attention down the arms, to the elbows, to the forearms, to the hands and fingers. Sometimes anger resides in our hands. Just noticing what's there for you. And as we come back up the arms, we'll go back up to the shoulders and the neck and the back of your neck. And the muscles, the trapezius muscles between our shoulder blades, we often hold a lot of tension here, and just dropping the shoulders away from the ears can make a huge difference in how we feel, what we think about, the sensations that we're experiencing in our body right now. Now taking your attention down your shoulder blades to your mid-back, down to the low back. Often a lot of tension here in the low back as well. Almost every person over the age of 30 will experience some kind of back pain at one time or another in their lives. We can hold a lot of tension here. And now moving back up the back to the neck, into the jaw. Another place that we hold a lot of tension, can cause headaches for some of us. Noticing tension, emotions, sensations in the jaw, in the tongue, in the mouth, up into our cheeks, eyes, forehead. Are you furrowing your brow? Relax. And up to the crown of your head. And we can do a quick scan from toe to top, just noticing anything left over in your body. Scanning for sensation, emotions, thoughts, staying with the breath, allowing the thoughts to pass like clouds on a summer Texas day. You may feel relaxed after this. It's not imperative. Mindfulness isn't about necessarily becoming relaxed or clearing your brain. It's a tool for self-discovery and awareness. And I hope that you guys enjoyed this, those of you listening. And you can find us on the web, jflowers.com. And I'm just going to tap the singing bowl to finish out our podcast today. So thank you for joining us, everyone.